Jose Mourinho and Tottenham reclaim top of the Premier League table as they beat Arsenal in the North London derby. Manchester United beats West Ham. Man City wins, of course. Liverpool wins big against Wolves. We've got RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich to talk about. We have Spain, Barcelona, Real Madrid. We have a conversation about Americans scoring big this weekend and so much more. I am joined with my friend, my brother, Heath Pearce. Stay right here because Que Golazo begins right now. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. And it's Heath Pearce. We don't have our brother, Jimmy Conrad, today, but it's all right. Me and Heath will break down all the action from the weekend. Heath, how are you, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm happy that I get a little more camera time today. You and me, a little more intimate. No Jimmy. We miss him, but this is our time to shine, you know?
It's our time to shine, and it's your time to talk about, what a horrible thing to do, though, because, it's just you. You can really go real deep dive into a game, but we begin with the North London derby as Tottenham go top of the table, reclaim the top of the table once again as Jose Mourinho's team beat Arsenal 2-0. An opener from Heung-min Son, a ridiculous goal of the season contender. And then that was finished off by Harry Kane. 2-0. Arsenal, despite the majority of possession, lose once again. And as I'm looking at all these stats, Spurs have now won consecutive Premier League North London derbies for just a third time after December 92 and May 93. Miguel Arteta is just the second manager to lose each of his two North London derbies after Bertie Mee way back in the mid-60s, 66 and 67. A great time for Tottenham, not a good time for Arsenal. Talk to me about this game, Heath.
Do I have to? Do I have to? This is the week that we don't have Jimmy to carry the load on an Arsenal game. No, look, we've talked about this before. One, the Sun goal, definitely a goal of the year contender. I will never take anything away from that finish. However, the amount of time and the exposed space, and I want to create the theme from this very first game so we can make it more about this theme. Goals off the counter this weekend in big games, and not even off the counter, just exposed or high lines or in possession where they get caught quick, 1, 2, 3 passes, they go to goal. That's been the story of the weekend. This was no different. You have a chance. You've got numbers back. There was an opportunity for Gabriel to close down, kill the game. Somebody take the foul. Somebody have a professional foul, take the yellow, prevent that. They had plenty of numbers behind the ball compared to their first versus the second goal, which was more of like a 3 or 4 against 2. This was 2 against 4, and they're able to get down to the goal and score. On the reverse side, and sure, it's a fantastic goal. No one's stopping that. But on the reverse side, and we've talked about this before as well, Arsenal in Europa League, when they played their young players, showed an ability to problem solve on the fly, right? If the game is giving you the wings, you've got to get it out there quicker. You got to move the ball quick. You've got to offset. You got to move the defense around. But the other thing is against a Spurs, you cannot give up a goal. That's all they want is just give them that one. It's old school Catenaccio. Just get that goal and bunker in. And right now, Arsenal, in the form that they're in, do not have the ability or creativity to break down a side like Spurs that have fully bought into the Mourinho system and are basically saying, go ahead, take the wings, cross the ball all day, put it right into the mixer. We'll clear everything out. We got no problem. Possession, not a worry for us. And they're incredible, and I actually do think it's a breath of fresh air for the game, which has become very trendy about possession and playing beautifully, or even the Gegenpress. There's just still a lot of emphasis on possession right now and winning the possession game and playing beautifully, that it's always refreshing when Mourinho's back in the game and it's working because it forces teams to have to play a little bit different and also be accountable. Mourinho's got no problem with nobody ever saying it's beautiful football, and it's working right now. And it's actually, dare I say, pretty entertaining to watch.
Yeah, you raise a lot of points here that I agree with. One of them was one of the things that I said on Twitter right after this game, Heath, was that, listen, the problem with Arteta's Arsenal right now, and there are many, is that at least from a philosophical standpoint, he's so worried about the big picture, the long-term strategy, that he's not focusing on the now. And it's not just him. I get it. There is obviously so much to worry about, specifically from a player responsibility. Arteta said it himself. Like, we could have like 55 people in there. If they don't finish these crosses, then we've got no hope. But to your point about the first goal, Son's goal is a goal contender of the season, no doubt. But what is Bayern doing, by the way? First of all, what is Gabriel doing? This man-watching situation. They leave him so much space. I thought the midfield was nowhere. That it's just obvious that if you give Son that much time, that much space, he's going to punish you, because it's not like he had a year to take the shot, but he had a month, and coming back on the counter. And to your point, there's something about, and we have to give a lot of credit to Jose Mourinho right now, because for so long, and listen, I know that the season's not over, but to be top of the table right now as we enter the Christmas period, it's really, really great. And it's one thing to say, listen, Mourinho, the special one, he's done, he's dusted. You know what? He has given something to Tottenham that they needed for a very long time, which is actually what you saw in the Amazon Prime video, where it's Mourinho said, listen, all of you guys, you're very talented, you're very passionate, but you're too nice. I need you to be a-holes. I need you to be mean. I need you to be arrogant. And that's kind of like what you're seeing, which is like Arsenal throwing cross after cross. And like you said, to your point, bring it. Cross it in. We will just get rid of it. We will frustrate the hell out of you, and we will take 3 points home. And that's exactly what happened. And Arsenal's now looking at themselves going, what do we want to be? An aesthetically pleasing team or a winning team? And right now, they're neither.
Yeah, and the last thing I'd say about that, the Sun goal, and the one thing that I want to give credit to, and as I believe it was Reguilón, is the overlap that he did at the last second. He just bombed up the left line, and I think it was him. If it wasn't him, it was somebody else. Full speed to overlap on a counterattack that forced that defender to now say, okay, I'm frozen. Do I go with the runner or do I stay inside? And that opened up that lane for Son to get his head up and get that shot off. Incredible finish. But that dedication, and again, that's a tough thing. It is a tough thing to beat. And when you talk about these long seasons and sustainability, you go back to those Chelsea days, you go back to the old United days where it was even more pragmatic than what we're seeing now in the game. And teams got no problem when they have these types of schedules to just sit back, relax, wait it out, get your goal and just say, you know what, let them keep possession, let them run everywhere, sit in our blocks, wait for our moments, and get the wins. And once you get that type of form, when you have players, some of the most informed players in the world with Kane and Son and Gareth Bale hopefully gets back to, I don't know, some form of something in the second half of the season. It's a very dangerous team that's going to be a title contender.
Listen, and the thing is, like, I'm looking at these two teams, and yes, of course, Harry Kane on one side, Son is playing so well. That partnership is really blossoming. I think that Hojbjerg coming from Southampton was such a good purchase. Reguilón, you mentioned, my God, Real Madrid, why did you get rid of him? Just so good today. But I'm looking at an Arsenal squad. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, people, one of the best finishers in the league. Lacazette, he's no scrub. Bukayo Saka, who is an England international and one of the most promising players in the nation. Okay. Thomas Partey, for so long you've been saying, Partey, finally, we have him. Obviously, he had an injury. Willian, who's an experienced player. Again, I'm like, there needs to be something here more than just cross and shooting. And if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm worried. And our friend Fabrizio Romano, our new colleague on Monday on this podcast, said that Arsenal are going to be the team to watch in the January transfer window. And I wonder if that will be enough. But Arteta now is looking at his team and he's thinking to himself that as I look at the table, I am 15th, right, with 13 points. And Brighton play tomorrow on Monday, and they could be even on points with Brighton.
It's no matter which way you put it, it's not a good sign of where they're at. And transfer window, the Thomas Partey signing, or Partey, sorry, I always get that wrong. That was a bright moment, right? And then you look and you say, Aubameyang, I don't know. I think he's got 2 goals so far. And I think Harry Kane has more goals than the entire Arsenal squad in the Premier League right now. Or Son, one of them do. But it's just not, you sign a new deal. He wasn't a streaky striker, Aubameyang, right? He scored goals. He was able to create a lot on his own as well. And then you bring, it was an experienced squad. It was the squad that you put into the North London derby. I said earlier, hey, look in the Europa League. They're playing with a very young team. You're playing against Dundalk. You're playing against Molde. You're playing against, what's the team in Austria? Rapid Wien. Like, I get it. You should under your third team should be able to compete with these teams or beat them handily. But there is that flair and creativity from that young squad. You put in the more veterans because you're playing in the North London Derby and there's a lot of points on the line and you need that to correct your season. And they're just not showing up. And I'm not saying they're playing poorly, but take what the game gives you, right? You knew that if you go down a goal, you're going to have to find a way to score against a team that's going to bunker in. Then you need to have more creativity. You need more players that can create individual moments. Son's chance wasn't exactly like he dribbled into the box and tapped it in. He created a moment of brilliance. Yeah, the team was Arsenal was exposed and they gave up a chance at the top of the box there, but he still had to finish it, right? Who is creating that moment of brilliance for Arsenal right now that can keep them or bring them back into games? I don't know if there's anyone.
Yeah, and as we wrap up the North London Derby and you look at Arsenal's schedule, there is an opportunity to at least, gain some kind of momentum back after the Dundalk game. They have Burnley at home, Southampton at home, Everton. They're not easy matches, but they're doable. But they also have an extra bonus game, which is the quarterfinal EFL game against Manchester City, and then Chelsea on Boxing Day. So things do get tricky after the next 3 games in the league that I just talked about. But again, I think we need to finish off with the fact that Jose Mourinho's Tottenham is top of the table, and rightly so. Well done. When we come back, we will touch base on the rest of the Premier League. Stay right here. Welcome back, everybody. Still in the Premier League as we weekend recap all the action. We'll get to Liverpool Wolves in a second, but just quickly as we go back on the Saturday game, Heath, Chelsea. Frank Lampard's Chelsea playing Marcelo Bielsa at Stamford Bridge. It was their first. And by the way, this is a reminder for other games as well. I didn't mention it with the Tottenham game, but there's something to be said about all these fans coming back to stadiums. I think for some teams, it really saw that kind of motivation for them. You saw it with Tottenham, and I think you saw it at Stamford Bridge as well, as Frank Lampard's side won 3-1 against Leeds United. As I mentioned in the introduction, it was a great day for American USMNT players in Europe, and this is one of them. Christian Pulisic scoring the 3rd goal in this one, but it was an overall good performance against Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. And Chelsea, finding themselves in 3rd place, came back from behind to beat a determined Bielsa side after Bamford's opener, but it was a good game and another good performance from Chelsea, Heath.
Yeah, another good performance. And, you guys are going to have Bamford on this week on HQ, I believe. So that's trending in the right direction, bringing some more attention to him, former Chelsea player. But this was, you said Lampard's Chelsea, and I was thinking this is maybe Giroud's Chelsea. He's back in form again, had 4 against Sevilla, and then 6 goals and 6 consecutive starts for Chelsea dating back to next year. He's actually the first player in like 20 years at Chelsea to have 6 goals and 6 consecutive starts. But that span of starts is like a lifetime of some players because he doesn't start much. So,
right. His was the opening goal. Not the opening goal, but Chelsea's first goal to tie it up against Bamford. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
And then, And then for, on a selfish level, getting Pulisic back and having him stay healthy, and then also get the goal in stoppage time, while it doesn't mean much for the grand scheme of things for Chelsea, I think it's a huge moment for any player coming back from injury to get a goal, even if it's the game's already in the bag. It builds on that confidence, and like any player, especially a young one that's like Pulisic, I think that's a hugely important thing. And Chelsea, a good team, and it shows obviously their ability to rotate the squad and call upon a Giroud who delivers against Sevilla, and now here on the weekend.
Yeah, and Kurt Zouma scores another goal from a corner. I believe that's his 4th goal in the league of the season. And Chelsea had more than 20 shots on this one against a Leeds side who normally do the same thing against opponents. But listen, I've been reading a lot on Twitter about, Lampard outmanaged Bielsa, etc. Look, he had a good game. They beat Leeds, but let's keep it real here. Leeds is a newly promoted side that Marcelo Bielsa is still trying to revitalize, right? So let's not, Lampard absolutely won this, but in terms of out-coaching him, look at this squad, right? Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma, Ben Chilwell, Reece James, Kante, Mason Mount, Giroud, Werner, Ziyech. This is a tremendous team. I'm not taking anything away from Lampard, but let's not go tweeting out saying, oh my God, Lampard, you outmaneuvered Bielsa. This is a newly promoted Leeds United side who opened the scoring, by the way. So, good win. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is a positive for it's a tough thing for Chelsea, but it could mean more minutes for our boy Pulisic, as Ziyech picked up an injury, so perhaps he can slide in or slot into a place there. Obviously, minutes are going to come harder to get. Now Mason Mount had a fantastic performance again, and now you got to start looking at, where do you play? You keep Giroud in. Where does Tammy Abraham go? Werner was also in form, so I don't know if it leads to anything for Pulisic for more minutes, but it's certainly an opening on the field that perhaps he could slot into.
And it's good problems to have for Chelsea and Frank Lampard, as they obviously, now that they've secured a knockout stage position in the Champions League, and they're really just mainly focusing on the Christmas period with the Premier League and everything else. It's also a good problem. And also, by the way, I don't even think that the Mason Mount Pulisic argument is really, Lampard likes Mason Mount somewhere else these days. He likes him as more centrally. Yeah, he's Pulisic way more from the wide hand side. So I think it, like you said, I think it's more as a Ziyech Pulisic conversation now. If Ziyech is doing well, then Pulisic maybe has to watch out. But I think that goal has added so much confidence. You saw Frank Lampard celebrate after that. I think he was happy for not just the third goal, but for Pulisic himself after going, the back and forth with injury. So it was good. It was a good one for him in that perspective.
Totally agree.
All right, let's move on. Liverpool defeat Wolves 4-0. Again, Anfield sounded really, really well that day. As we're taping, a really good performance once again from Jurgen Klopp's side, because at home they are very, very good, and they proved it today. And Wolves, Heath, was always going to struggle without Raul Jimenez, Nuno Espirito Santo. Now that he's kind of shifting the defensive back a little bit, I think this was just a testament of how they're struggling at the moment, not at least performing to what they can do. But Liverpool takes this one 4-0. Diogo Jota didn't start. He came on a bit later. So it really was the Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah trio. Salah got a goal. Matip got a goal. And who was the third one that got a goal? I believe is Wijnaldum. So that was and who got the fourth one? I'm just looking.
Fourth one was an own goal from Semedo.
There you go. Nelson Semedo own goal. So that's a 4-0 win for Liverpool, and they remain second only on goal difference, and a good win at Anfield.
Yeah, and this is another situation where you look at the Wijnaldum goal, fantastic finish also. Yeah. But again, exposed, high back line, one pass, two pass, and you're in. And you get punished for it, right? And Liverpool went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 pretty quickly today. In terms of especially their second goal, kind of the wheels fell off, and Wijnaldum had a good finish. But again, high line, Wolves playing a high line against a very pacey Liverpool. 1-2 passes, you're in behind, and you're finishing. But it's tied on points, right, at the top of the table.
Yeah, so Tottenham has 24 points. Liverpool has 24 points, but Tottenham has a better goal difference. Chelsea in third place with 22. Leicester City, who with a late Jamie Vardy goal, and I don't know what he,
Another high line. You let Jamie Vardy in the 90th minute. And by the way, can I say something on that? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. This is it.
So many of these situations can be avoided by a foul. Okay. Yeah. And they even said it on the broadcast. Jamie Vardy's about to go alone. He's not going to miss in the 90th. Take the red card. Sorry. You get a weekend off. Take the red card. They're not scoring from 35 out on a free kick to close out the game. You at least get a point, but instead you let Jamie Vardy go free. You're not going to catch him to get on the defensive side of him. Take the foul, take the red card. In a lot of these situations, like what happened to professional fouls? What happened to killing these attacks? We're just letting guys run free.
Right. And I don't know what the corner flag ever did to Jamie Vardy too, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw that, but he gave that out. He slid over, tackled the corner flag, and he completely destroyed it. It was, I felt so sorry I've never felt so sorry for something that wasn't living. It was crazy.
Yeah, that thing snapped into a lot of pieces. I didn't see after. I'm assuming you got a yellow card for smashing that, right? I don't think this is like, you're allowed to make things, or at least destroy things without some sort of punishment. But look, when you score,
right?
yeah, when you score in that kind of moment, it's the stadium, the corner flags, the pitch, it's all yours. You can have whatever you want,
Yeah. Anything on Sheffield United, Heath? Because they haven't won a game yet. 10 losses, 1 draw, 13 goals under. I mean, they're bottom of the table. Such a shame. Chris Wilder's team was one of the hot topics of last season, and now they're really staring at relegation at this point. They haven't won a game. 1 point. 1 point. That's all they have.
Yeah, you look at that type of situation, and look, Fulham against a Man City, right? And Fulham, I think, got points against somebody last week.
Well, they Leicester City. They
beat Leicester City, yeah. So huge points there. Completely outmatched by a Manchester City, right? Who are back in form after crushing Burnley, and now they seem to be somewhat of their old selves, even though they drew in the Champions League. But for a Sheffield, that's the moment. It's the moment of the season. Every time you have something like that, stop Jamie Vardy. Just take him down. Grab him by his shoelaces. Do whatever you have to do to build on something, right? There's nothing to build on now. And now you go in, and that gap in the table looks a little bit bigger. The season seems a little more dire. You start to overanalyze everything. But when you really look at it and you're outmatched, right? And I played on a small team in the Bundesliga where our first goal of the season was survival. Mm-hmm. That was it. It wasn't like, hey, maybe we can, get Champions League spot or what. It was like, first one, let's not go down. Okay. Second one is, let's see how we can compete against certain teams. When we're home, let's make sure that we get our points, almost like a tournament style. When you look at Sheffield, you're like, that was a huge opportunity. And we had those within a season that it becomes these individual moments where you need players. It's a team sport, but you need players with the intelligence to make plays. You should have left that game with a point. Now, whether you deserved it within the 90 minutes, no problem. That's a different conversation. But you're in the 90th minute, and Jamie Vardy goes through, kick him, trip him, hold him up, do whatever you have to do so you can at least leave with some sort of your head's held high. Leicester City, a point from Leicester City, even in a bad season, is still something, right? And that's what starts to be missing. And then it's that happens. And then the next week, it's another individual error, and these game moments add up, and then you find yourself bottom of the table without anything to show for it.
Yeah, and now they only have 1 point, and I gotta see just very early, quick guesses right now, Heath. Like Burnley 18th, West Brom 19th, Sheffield United 20th, Fulham, Brighton just above that, Arsenal above that with 13 points. Do you think that those are the three that are going down? Do you think, if you're thinking about later on? United, West Brom, Burnley. Fulham, obviously.
I can't rule out Fulham. Fulham look a lot better now. They look a lot more organized, a little bit more mature, to be honest with you, in their last few games. They were outmatched by City from start to finish. However, they didn't look like they were trying to be something other than they are, right? Which is like, let's get out of here. Let's hope for the best. And it didn't look like, sometimes these teams fighting relegation, you see Burnley, for example, against City. You look at it and you go, these are two completely different planets that these teams are on. Instead of a Burnley just bunkering in and saying, hey, let's fight for survival, let's scrap for everything. It was like 5 minutes in, goal, 10. And I don't know, I'm speaking openly about goals that I don't remember when they came, but it was like one chance, goal, another chance, goal. And you're like, clearly, I've played in really big games against big teams, and never did I feel like, actually, to be fair, in the second half against Mexico in a Gold Cup final when they beat us 5 or 6-0, that was a time where it just felt like everything was wrong. But I played in games against big teams, take Spain, for example, or whatever, where we gave up possession the whole game, but there was a tactical organization that was like, give them possession, sit in, bunker, they're going to have the ball, let's try to get a few counters, we're probably not going to get those, but let's at least play for pride, let's be organized, let's make them earn it. And when you see a Burnley, or you see, and this is what I mean about Fulham, they've gotten better at at least make somebody earn the win instead of it being like they're playing 10 against 7 is what it seemed like City against Burnley, where everything goes in, organization across the back line is terrible. No one's talking, one dribble, one shot, one pass. No one's tracking runners. The line is not in the same page. It's like that kind of stuff where you go like, that's like almost borderline amateur than it is being outplayed.
Yeah. And as we stare into the Christmas period, both the bottom and the top look pretty intriguing in terms of what will happen. Just a very, very quick thoughts before we wrap up and move on to Europe, the final one. West Ham United losing 3-1 to Manchester United. Man U, who didn't start Bruno Fernandes, actually. The first half was intriguing. Obviously, West Ham with the lead, 1-0 at the half. But then a Paul Pogba ridiculous goal. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Then Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford. And United get that win against West Ham, not needing Bruno Fernandes, at least for the majority of the time. Not bad.
Yeah. Look, they took off Van de Beek and Cavani at halftime. Pogba had a rare start, and Pogba was relatively simple in this game, which I think helped United. He was connecting passes, but he wasn't trying to be the flow of the game or the spotlight on me, which I think was a positive influence on the team. Obviously, a huge goal into the second half, but Rashford came on. I don't remember who else subbed on in that game, but there was two halftime subs for Van de Beek and Cavani, but it may have been Fernandes, but changed the game. And then obviously Paul Pogba started the second half. Great, fantastic finish. And then, there was now they've won all five. By the way, United have won all 5 of their away games this year,
right?
Which is, I don't know what it means, but it means something for them. And when you look at the table, they're 5. Yeah. And they've got a game in hand against all those that are in the top 4. So trending in the right direction as well. And calling upon players that haven't been called upon as much, like a Paul Pogba to start this game. Also, Dean Henderson, I think it's Dean, had his first start and had some really massive saves, which I think is huge towards, building confidence. And there was fans in the stands, which was nice. That was kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, it was Bruno Fernandes that came at the half, and then Juan Mata came in a little later on.
Yeah.
And it was his beautiful one-touch through ball for Marcus Rashford for the goal. So another good win. When we come back, everybody, after these messages, you will get Heath and I to talk about Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig and the rest of Europe. Stay right here. Hey, everybody, welcome back. We're doing a quick whip around on Europe, beginning with the Bundesliga. But first, I want to let you know that there's a great documentary coming up on CBS Sports Network where Orange County SC and Rangers FC called Path to Glory. It's a 4-part documentary. The first one is on Tuesday, December 8th, 6:30 Eastern, and then the next few ones follow the day after. And it follows basically some players from both clubs trying to fulfill their dreams, moving from Orange County SC to Rangers, and obviously COVID coming in, but it's a really great story and I can't wait to see it. And that's going to be on CBS Sports Network from Tuesday. That sounds pretty cool, huh? Rangers, Orange County SC.
On the TV. I like it.
On the TV.
There's not enough things that I watch in real time anymore. So this will be one that I'm excited about. Yeah,
absolutely. So make sure you check it out. Google it, go on Twitter, etc. It's called Path to Glory, Orange County and Rangers. Great stuff. All right, let's talk about the Bundesliga, a league you know very well, Heath Pearce. And my God, what a game. Bayern Munich ties RB Leipzig 3-0, where Nkunku opened the scoring for RB Leipzig in the 90th minute. Then Bayern equalized with Musiala in the 30th. Then Thomas Müller scores 2-1. Then Kluivert makes it 2-0. Then Forsberg makes it 3-2 to Leipzig. And then Thomas Müller scores again, completes his brace for Bayern. 3-0, tremendous game, just back and forth. Everything that you want the Bundesliga to be all about. How'd you see it, Heath? Because one of the things that I wanted to ask you was Bayern is so good. We know that. But every now and again, they're there to be taken, especially defensively.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about put Chris Richards in. That's what I'm saying. Give Chris Richards a run. If you looked at that last goal that Forsberg scored, it was a cross from the outside from Angelino, and he just whipped it in. It wasn't with a particularly good amount of pace. Fantastic ball. But Forsberg, there was no one within 5 to 10 meters of him. I'm using the metric system because we're going to Europe with this stuff.
I love it. Yeah.
No one within 5 to 10 meters of him, and just is able to just put it in. And to me, that's a sign they were exposed. And then if you look again, the same sort of story of Bayern being exposed on the counter. Another, again, high line. There's no real spring chickens at center back for Bayern, and they're playing a high line. When RB Leipzig scored their first goal, it's 1, 2, 3 passes through ball, and then they're in. And Nkunku was able to finish that off. And I think it's a sign. Oh, it's a worry for me for Bayern Munich. Look, they have world-class players back there. I'm not worried about that. But the system itself seems to let them down at times. And then if you look at the first goal again, this is one where I'm blanking on his name, the goalkeeper for Bayern. I should never. Yeah, I have no idea how I'm blanking.
You blanked on Manuel Neuer.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea how whoever listens to this, forgive me for that, because that's pretty bad. I haven't had my afternoon caffeine. Let's put it like that. But yeah, Neuer is caught off his line. He plays that high line, and when he comes out, he comes and he's able to get around him. And it's one of those situations where you're like, most goalkeepers would probably be a little bit deeper there, potentially able to cut off that angle, but he comes out flying, and they're able to finish that off. And again, that was a situation where it was they were exposed. But Jamal Musiala, another thing I'm excited about. I ride for the youngsters, so Kluivert, Musiala. You had outside of Nkunku's, I think 23 years old, but just an all around a fantastic game that you want, right? Both teams 1 and 2 in the table, so just an all around good game where Bayern cough up points. And now the table's wide open. And it's not just open for Bayern and Dortmund, right? You have RB Leipzig still in second place, I believe. And then you have Leverkusen. Yeah. They jumped today. Yeah, that's right. They
absolutely. It's just Bundesliga is just tremendous, just to help you out here. And you made some really good points about, because this is what the Bundesliga is all about. You want young players, determined players, a lot of goals, but it's all technical as well. It's not like it's just, garbage soccer. This is a really good league. And, with that point, Bayern is on 23, Heath. Leverkusen is on second place with 22. Leipzig, because of that point, 21. And Dortmund, who tied against Frankfurt, thanks to a Gio Reyna goal. We talked about all the players and USMNT players scoring. Gio Reyna was another one of them. Great goal as well. Made it an equalizer for Dortmund. But it's Bayern, Leverkusen, RB Leipzig, Dortmund. And the difference is 4 points. And under that is Wolfsburg in fifth with 18 points. So it's really good.
Yeah. And Leverkusen's been sneaky good the whole year so far. They're a lot like Gladbach was in years past, where they kind of stay out of the title conversation and they just sort of keep getting points, right? Yeah. And for them, it's get into Champions League. Can you get that Champions League group stage spot? Because the financials around that. And also, I want to give some respect to them, because before playing young players was cool. Before Dortmund got into the trend and got most of the credit for this, before RB Leipzig built their model, RB Leipzig didn't even exist yet. Leverkusen was developing young players, and they've got Florian Wirtz there now, 17 years old, but they've been known for that stuff, and they consistently develop young players. So I want to give them a shout out. They're in second place. Let's see how long they can ride it for, but good on them.
Absolutely. So fantastic, I think, promotion for the Bundesliga this weekend as it intensifies and it gets better and better. And let's just quickly talk about Spain for a second. Real Madrid earned a resilient win. It wasn't a pretty win. It was a resilient win against Sevilla at Sevilla. Vinicius Jr. gets that goal. Barcelona, Heath. Barcelona, I don't know if you saw this one, but they're playing Cadiz, away at Cadiz. It opens with a goal from Alvaro Jimenez in the eighth minute, and then an own goal helps it with 1-0 there. And then in the 63rd minute, guys, if you haven't seen this goal, it's just amateur hour for Barcelona. It's just ridiculous, and you're Barcelona, for crying out loud, right? And they lose 2-1. They're in 9th place right now, 14 points. They're closer to the relegation bottom 3 than they are to the top 4. And it's now Atletico Madrid with 26 points. Real Sociedad, as we speak, is 0-0, 25 points. Villarreal, 21 points in 3rd place. Real Madrid with 20 points. Cadiz, which is doing very well, 5th point. But Barcelona, 9th, 14 points. And 18th, who's Osasuna, has 11. So that's Barcelona's situation right now. Now next up is Juventus.
Yeah, that doesn't get any easier because then you have some break from Champions League at that point. But look, I'm going to keep saying this until either I manifest it or I'm completely wrong, and that is that we know the drama of a Barcelona. We know the drama of a Real Madrid. Every single year, it's in their mind, it's win or it's a failure, right? And so there's constantly drama. There's enough for us to talk about all the time, but we are in a new era with Barcelona. Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm going back to the pipeline of La Masia is not what we talk about anymore with Barcelona, right? We talk about Messi and Barcelona. Barcelona to me is the new Manchester United. There is an era that there is coming to an end where it's like, when does Sir Alex Ferguson leave? When does he step down? And how will it ever be the same, right? And that's Messi and Barcelona right now. We see drama, and not only that, but they've got all kinds of issues with the board. They've got all of these problems. They've got world-class players. They've got debt that's crazy. They're just trying to agree to pay cuts. Everything is wrong. Whether you're the player, you don't feel the morale. And this is when you start to see these cultural shifts that I mean, for lack of a better way, that we saw with Man United. Man United don't, like, it's almost like they forgot what players belong at Man United, what it means to go to Man United. And I think we might start seeing that now. Like, is Barcelona a place that, if you're Holland, do you look at Barcelona and go, I'm going to go there and fix things? Yeah. Or do you go, nah, that's a hard pass for me right now because, like, it's a fail, right? You your first two games, your world record probably transfer or close to it. You go your first two games, you don't score, they turn on you. You know, the club's a mess. Messi's gone by now. And all these things that you have to rebuild. Like, who wants to step into that war zone? And it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. And we've seen this coming. It's like we've seen it way off in the horizon, and we're slowly getting closer to it, that we know eventually it's going to happen. But I think it's starting to happen faster than, you know what I mean? It's happening in front of our eyes now. Instead of knowing it's going to come or knowing there's a little drama here, there's a little crack. That crack's going to get a little bit bigger. It seems like it's all coming tumbling down, and it's reflected in their attitudes. It's reflected in the way that they approach the game. It's reflected in the board. It's reflected probably with the way the fans are right now. It's reflected in the times being COVID. The fans can't show up or support or any of those things, right? 100,000 seat stadium empty is still an empty stadium. And I just think the point being is that you could put out 20 tentacles that would connect with an issue right now at Barcelona. It's not just one or two or a player or a bad attitude or Messi. It's Messi plus 50 other things. And no matter what it is, they all have major implications and make it extremely difficult to imagine a world where they just turn it around and go, oh, now they're going to win the title this year and they're going to win Champions League.
Yep. Well done. I don't think I'm going to add anything to that. That's exactly what's going on. And I think that it's going to get worse as, Messi's future continues to be discussed, once 2021 hits, and anybody can pretty much, get him on a free after that, aside from his contract, of course. Issues indeed. Before we go, Heath Pearce, and by the way, guys, MLS-wise, we're going to have a lot of content coming this week, so stay tuned for that. But before we go, question for you. Really great weekend here. Weston McKennie scoring for Juventus, Pulisic for Chelsea, Gio Reyna for Dortmund. Tyler Adams get one? I can't remember.
No, he didn't. He started, though. He started against Bayern, which is good. I was fighting with somebody that Tyler Adams wasn't the starter. And they kept saying squad rotation every time he didn't play. But, biggest game of the year, and they put him in there with full trust. So, but a good start and actually a really good performance against Bayern as well.
Yeah, and shout out to Alex Morgan as well, who also scored for Tottenham women as well. But what do you make of the, all those players scoring in one weekend? Let's hope it keeps continuing. Well, because one thing I said on Twitter was, listen, like, I think that be optimistic, be proud, be hopeful, do all those things. But like, I read things like, I feel that they're on the verge of arrogance sometimes. And we just got to be careful here for the US. Like, your number one objective right now is qualify for the World Cup and reclaim CONCACAF from Mexico. That's it. That is it. So I'm just like, I'm very happy, but like, just be very careful because we've been down this road before. So just be very careful. What do you think?
Yeah, the faith is in the pipeline of players. So I think we're seeing the best crop of players we've ever had. But the crop of players actually coming behind these guys are probably even better than your Timo Weah, than your Josh Sargent, than your Tyler Adams. Like when you look at the pipeline, that's what I'm most confident about. Of course, there's some arrogance, and I do think when we had all the German Americans playing, double recruiting these dual nationals, we thought, oh, we're going to sweep CONCACAF. This will be easy. Look at the quality of players starting, 7-8 Bundesliga players playing week in, week out. CONCACAF is completely different. Qualifying for a World Cup is completely different. Putting pieces of players together that rarely play together from different styles and backgrounds and cultures and all these things takes a lot of work to get right.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to get it wrong, like we've seen. And I think there is a lot to be proven at the national team level. Qualify for the World Cup for sure is the number one priority, right? Take it back from Mexico. The pipeline of players is far deeper than Mexico's. We have players playing at bigger clubs than Mexico right now. Like our outlook looks better, right? But look, if Pulisic continues to get injured at the rate that he is, do we see his full potential? Maybe, maybe not, right? If Timo Weah, for example, at Lille, can't get a game, gets an assist, we go crazy. And when he gets his assist in Europe over during the week, we go crazy. We go crazy for it. Does it mean anything? He's probably going to go on loan somewhere else. What's his next move, right? And this is the point I'm getting to, and I don't want to eat up too much time here, is one or two downfalls with a lot of these players starts to eliminate that excitement, right? Timo Weah goes to another club, doesn't work out, goes to another club, doesn't work out. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he lands on his feet and he starts contributing. But he was our hope 12 months ago. Yeah. And he goes to Lille, doesn't play. If that happens to enough players, right? And look, McKennie's in a secure position. Tyler Adams, I like our midfield. Pulisic's going to obviously be a contributor. Gio Reyna, I think, is going to be a contributor. I still want to see in this upcoming camp who's going to be that person that plays next to John Anthony Brooks, who I think is our number one starter. I think we're good at fullback positions as well within the team, but you still have to go and prove something. And it doesn't count against a European Panama squad because I'm not even sure Panama has enough players in Europe to field that squad. And it doesn't count against, and it should count against a Wales squad. So there's just, my point is there's a lot of excitement, but we are bordering on that arrogance of like, look at us now, when no one believed in us. The last thing I will say is that I do think the U.S. players, like Brian Reynolds, for example, potentially linked to Juventus at 6-7 million, will help to potentially reset the market a little bit because we're starting to see that 5 to 10 million range be a very good value for an American player. And I think that value is a really good starting point for us, as opposed to it being 40 million Pulisic or 20 million and up, where it's really hard to convert. And I think Serginho Dest is worth that out of Barcelona. But I do think that 5 to 10 million transfer is going to help lower prices in the marketplace and be of good value for the development of our players to get to 20, 21. We're not going to sell national team guys at 27, 28 anymore. You're getting sold from MLS if you're starting there at 19, 20. And I think that's a moment to be excited for. But I definitely agree with you. We're bordering on arrogance without anything to show for it. And we definitely need to take a deep breath and know that we got a long way to go before any of this means anything of legitimacy.
Yeah, just take it from a South American. You like CONMEBOL teams, all they care about is qualifying for the World Cup. That's it. That's it. That's all they care about. They don't care if they're 1, 2, 3, 4. They just want to get to the World Cup. The difference between here with the U.S. is dethrone Mexico, because I don't care how many Pulisics you have. Mexico's number one in CONCACAF right now, and that's your number one target. But everything you said, absolutely on point, especially about overloading the market. That was Heath Pearce. See what happens when Jimmy's not here?
Oh, man, so much airtime, dude. I feel like I got to air my grievances. I got to give my opinion and have Jimmy yelling at me. This was really great. I miss him dearly. But man, you and me, there might be something special happening here. Don't tell Jimmy.
Don't tell Jimmy. Jimmy, we love you. Thank you so much, everybody. Heath, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I want to thank Heath Pearce for joining me today. Don't forget that you can follow us on Que Golazo Pod on Twitter, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on Spotify and Stitcher. If you're listening to us on cbssports.com, please head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review, and make sure that you follow us on any other platform where you listen to your pods. Have a great beginning of your week.